Good morning. I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here with us at live session from MAHSA University, Sarjana Putra campus. I am Tamayanti, lecturer from Faculty of Education and Health Science, MAHSA University, and I'll be moderating today's session. Today's webinar, Role of Physiotherapists in Helping Astronauts Cope with Microgravity, is proudly organized by Faculty of Health Science, MAHSA University. Dear viewers, before we proceed further, I would like to give you a brief overview of the programs offered by Faculty of Health Sciences at MAHSA University. Faculty of Health Sciences comprises physiotherapy, environmental health, and medical imaging. It's comprised of School of Physiotherapy, Department of Environmental Health, and a Department of Medical Imaging. Physiotherapy is a healthcare profession involving rehabilitation of patients, emphasize on the use of physical approaches in promotion, restoration, and maintenance of health and functional movement of people of all ages. The core areas are neurological, musculoskeletal, and cardiorespiratory, and this is a subspecialty such as sports, pediatric, geriatric, men's and women's health, vestibular rehabilitations, and occupation health, and geriatrics as well. This is for the environmental health, medical imaging. Why join health sciences? It's a high job demand, no boring work routine, low risk of job automation. You can work in a variety of settings, a career you can feel good about. In School of Physiotherapy, we have Diploma in Physiotherapy, Bachelor of Physiotherapy, Bachelor of Physiotherapy, Masters of Physiotherapy. In the Department of Environmental Health, we have Diploma in Environmental Health, Bachelor of Environmental Health and Safety, Bachelor of Environmental Health, Safety under Open Distance Learning. And in Department of Medical Imaging, we have Diploma in Medical Imaging and Radiography, Bachelor of Medical Imaging, Bachelor of Medical Imaging under Open and Distance Learning. Teaching and learning in MAHSA University, it by the experienced and dedicated academic staff. And there's a various study modes such as face-to-face and open and distance learning, cross-teaching by experts, there's the interactive teaching and emphasize on hands-on clinical skills. Let it be a face-to-face and under through LMS. And there's an exhaustive list of hospital and institution for clinical and industrial placement. And we are accredited by MQA and JPA with international recognition. So these are the few of our facilities at MAHSA University. Gate lab, physiology lab. This is our gym for physiotherapies. About the medical imaging. Our lecture hall, classroom, meeting room, and a global business center. And these are the clinical placement areas for physiotherapy courses, few of the hospitals and centers. Practical industrial placement for environmental health. These are the list. This is for medical imaging. And we do have a collaboration affiliation with a few bodies such as the World Confederation for Physical Therapy, Malaysian Physiotherapy Associations, and many more. And at times we do have a master's classes. This is the list of the master classes conducted by MAHSA University. And we did have an additional program such as Pride. And we also actively be contributing to the webinar. This is the programs of the webinar, the prior webinar program. And we will conducting student mobility program from EU University, a lovely professional university from India, and University of Srivijaya, Indonesia. These are all the student experience from MAHSA University. activities, career on student welfare, and with the pathway progression is from you can start from diploma, then go further to bachelor's, then to masters, and the last will be PhD with the faculty research output done by our academicians and students. So it's time to be more. These are the career opportunities testimonial from our students. Thank you. Please contact us through MAHSA website or through our faculty Facebook page to know more about our programs, or simply leave a comment. We'll get back to you. The questions concerning this webinar session can be listed in the chat box. So now I'm going to introduce about today's webinar. Physiotherapy plays a crucial role in preparing astronauts for space mission in terms of rehabilitations for astronauts before and after space travels. The impact of microgravity on space travelers in terms of musculoskeletal, cardiorespiratory systems, and neurology systems will be discussed in this new branch of physiotherapy where innovative techniques and exercise are being developed. Now, let me introduce speaker of today's webinar, Mr. Rajan. Mr. Rajan Balakrishnan from MAHSA University holds a Master in Physiotherapy in cardiorespiratory from Tamil Nadu, Dr. MGR Medical University, and is pursuing his PhD in physiotherapy at Garden City University, Bangalore. He started his career as a physiotherapist in year 2002 and has been serving as an educator for over 18 years. Mr. Rajan, the screen is all yours.
So, good morning, all. I have to thankful to Miss Fatin and Madam Tamiendi for giving the forum to talk. And I was acknowledging to our Honorable Dean, Associate Professor Dr. Veronica Anichua, and I be thankful to my team from the Faculty of Health Sciences and Nursing. Now, Fatin. So my topic is based upon that how the space therapy, how the physiotherapist is going crucial roles in handling gravity in the space. So we know about the physiotherapist basically on the land rehabilitation and water rehabilitation. Now we will be focusing on the innovative way how we are going to pre-rehabilitate and rehabilitate the astronauts when they're going for a flight travel in space. So we are going to see in detail about what is microgravity now. So actually this is our webinar location from the space. So it is merely from your artificial intelligence. It shows that where we are undergoing our presently webinar based upon the role of physiotherapist, how to handle the microgravity for an astronauts. So astronauts are the unique population of physically and mentally fit individuals who have to travel from the gravity to microgravity and back to gravity. Since these astronauts, they are traveling from our Earth to the space, they have to face a gravity and no gravity and microgravity. It doesn't mean that in the space there is no gravity. Still, the gravity is there. In that, how our human system is going to be activated and going to have a changes. The force of gravity has major influence on the musculoskeletal, neurovestibular, cardiovascular, and pulmonary system. See, what is microgravity? A microgravity is the condition in which people or object appear to be a weightless. So we consider that we having this reduced buoyancies. Wherever when our gravity is, we are going to miss our gravity. We going to maintain our buoyancies, whether it is in the water, whether it is in the space. So now we are going to handle how the physiotherapist is going to handle a human which is going to experience the microgravity for a long period. For example, 14 days or more than a month or more than a year. So microgravity, the object normally floating and motionless in space traveling, but outside it was revolving around the orbital speed of 28,000 km per hour. The objects in a state of free fall or orbit are said to be weightless. The object mass is same, but it will be registered as zero gravity on a scale. In the microgravity, astronauts can float in the spacecraft or outside or on a spacewalk. A small amount of gravity can be found everywhere in space. International Space Station orbits Earth at an altitude between 200 and 250 miles away from our Earth. Earth gravity is about 90% of what is on the planet surfaces. Properties of microgravity. There are four factors that influence the behavior of liquids and gas in a microgravity environment. Absence of buoyancy and sedimentations, absence of convections, and absence of hydrostatic pressure and containerless float. Based upon these four factors only, you can see that our human beings will be floating on the space. So how, when this man is going to float on the space, how the system is going to be involving in different changes, especially on the musculoskeletal, and how about even pulmonary and cardiovascular, and well as in the neurologically. That we are going to see in detail. The Earth gravitational force is 6 times stronger than the Moon gravitational force. So this is the main reasons why we are be floating on the space, because the Earth gravitational force is so high, so that the people can have to exert their forces. Ground reaction forces will be there, and a lot of force is going to be exerting on the body to maintain the equilibrium. But in the space, this force is going to be absent. So you can see how the buoyancy is maintaining. You can see the astronauts, how he's floating inside the container. So because this gravity, you can see the microgravity level here is maintaining equilibriums in the transverse lines. Why? Because the gravity, the force, the no gravitational force can be occur here. The astronauts used to fall because no ground force or normal force to counteract the force of the gravity. So that is the main changes you can see in the space. Benefits in microgravity. International Space Station's applied research and development shows that microgravity can assist in the development of next generation materials in multiple fields, including space, defense, information technologies, communications, medicines, power, green technology, and a wide range of next generation consumer. As we know that we are being now, there's a revolutionary in the artificial intelligence. So our innovations and enterprises will be focusing on the space. For example, recently we have a Chandrayaan 3 from India, and then we have a fuse space lift from US and Russia's, China and Japan's. They will be focusing more on the space to maintaining the house at the space. So they also having their own criteria to maintain their land in the space. So what happens to the astronaut's body in space? In the brain, you can see due to the cosmic radiations, you can have insomnia, difficulty in sleeping when they are back from the space. There will be more stress trying to reorient the body balance systems, especially your balance and equilibrium is going to be mismatched when they're coming back to the Earth. In the spine, astronauts are taller in space. The space between the vertebrae expands due to the zero and the microgravity. In the space, the hearts don't have to work as hard to pump the blood around the body. So eventually it may shrink, which can cause problem for astronauts when they re-enter the Earth. In the blood is normally pulled towards our feet by gravity, but in space, the blood and fluids is pulled towards thoracocephalic regions. So this is a big thing we have to be discussed in some other webinar. This how the blood having the impact when they be traveling for the space giving the astronauts for puffy space. Muscles aren't really needed to hold upon the body over time. They become weaker, detroit. Astronauts must exercise every day to prevent this from happening. While during the space flight, there is a reduced ground reaction force resulting in reduced loading and disuse of weight bearing structures. This results in the muscle atrophy and bone demineralizations. Muscle atrophy causes alterations in muscle strength, thereby affecting the muscle functions. The bones, like our muscles, the bones are not needed much in the microgravity. So without exercise, the deteriorations and become weak and the brittle. The bone demineralization results in altered calcium metabolisms and altered level of calcitrophic hormones. Bone mineral loss accounts for about 4% in the weight-bearing bones, the magnitude of which is dependent on the length of the exposure to the light. See what big now only we are going to enter how these physiotherapists plays a vital roles, how to going to maintain their musculoskeletal system, pulmonary cardiovascular system once they are back from the space. So what big impact on the human systems? There will be a few physiological changes due to microgravity in the human beings. For example, physiological changes in the musculoskeletal and physiological changes in the neurological systems and physiological changes in the cardiorespiratory system. Here, the physiological adaptation of muscles of bones and joints. You can see, for example, when you're going for a bone tissue, you can see the demineralizations. For example, there's a loss of bone mass, loss of bone densities. You can see there is an effect on the trabecular system of the bone since there is no linkage. When you, for example, when a person is be walking on the land areas, there you can see the compressive forces and destructive forces. But when you're going to float on the spaces, the force is going to be negligible. So you can see there's a loss of bone mass and loss of bone density, those who are staying more than 14 days. In the muscle tissues, you can see the muscle atrophy and the muscle weakness because we are having a recent evidence on March 2023, according to the NASA's, they are biomechanically, molecularly, they have proven how these proteins is be depleting when they are going to travel in the space. So that we are going to see in the evidence in the upcoming slides. In the neural system, physiological adaptation of the nervous systems, we are having central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. In the central nervous system, you can see this increased intracranial pressure, the space motions sickness, we call as an SMS. That is a main symptoms the space astronauts used to face when they are back. So increased intracranial pressures, it will be exceeded to 100 mm of Hg. And impact of the cranial nerves, especially you can see there's a changes in the optic nerve and vestibular nerve. All the special senses is going to be affected when they are back from the space. The peripheral nerve systems, you can see this, there's an intervertebral disc space is going to be increased, and you can see there's an impact of the peripheral nerves more. Physiological adaptations of heart and lungs. For example, in the heart, you can see it's 8% to 10% of heart atrophied. So those will be there for 14 days in the space. Nearly 10% of the heart is not functioning properly. And then there you can see the bulging of the blood vessels, especially you can see the aneurystic activities in the brain. And there is in the lungs, you can see this reduced lung recoil. So you can see there's a changes in the ventilation perfusions is lower. So axial strips. So how we are going here, we are dividing into two things. One is in a short space flight and the long space flight. A flight of 1 day to 14 days is considered as a short flight trip, and the long space flight trip is more than 2 weeks is considered to be a long flight. According to this, with the interventions, the assessments for the space traveler, sailors is going to be changed. We can see there's a lot of changes between the short space flight and the long space flight. In the pre-flight phases, we initially be focusing much on the core strengthening exercises because, for example, our body is going to be float there. So especially since there is no gravity, there's a mass we can see is in the center. So we will be focusing on the core strengthening part, and then we will be giving some few exercises on the squatting, and then push-up exercises and sit-up exercises, and we are going for an anti-gravity treadmill training and underwater strengthening exercises. So these are the basic exercises we are going to give to the astronauts, but they should follow this is for 45 minutes every day when they are in the flight also. So thereby we are accommodating their body. So how they are going to strengthen in the rehabilitation itself. So mainly we have been focusing on here is an abdominal muscles, core strengthening exercises and the spinal extension exercises, and whole body we are going to cover the anti-gravity treadmill training. And also we will be preferring for the underwater strengthening here. Why? Because we can see there is a reduced of buoyancy in the space. So we will train them in the underwaters to strengthen the few muscle part in our body. And then we have endurance training, and then we are having the hypoxic management, improving the breathing economy and the ability. So here we are be focusing mainly on the pranayama. We are having a copyright based upon that few techniques, especially the breathing technique. We divided into like a three pattern, like we all know that 1:2 ratios. Then we ask the astronauts, for example, people to inhale for the 16 seconds, and then we ask them to hold it for 64 seconds. Then we have to release for the 32 seconds. So this is one of the specialized technique which will help them to hold the breathing, to control the breathings, and also it will improve the breathing pattern for the space astronauts. And the in-flight phases, advanced resistive exercises devices and treadmill exercises and electrical stimulation for the muscles are being given. So upcoming slides you can see with the images. Post-flight phases, we are having a tilt table, and then we are having adaptability training systems and the progressive exercise training. So these are all the basic exercises we always follow for the flight travels or the sailor. So we concise rehabilitation based upon the astronauts rehabilitations is basically first we are going for an asanas and the pranayama and the mudras, and whereas in we also focus on the cardiovascular pulmonary rehabilitations, and also we are going to focus on the special focus on the special senses like vestibular and optic, because these two nerves only is going to be affected more when they're going for a travel. And basically musculoskeletal systems, you can see the demineralization of the bone, and you can see the muscle atrophy. So we are having the few research evidence how is already done by a physiotherapist who have been working the NASA and then ISRO's, then they will be giving the how is going to be impact the role of physiotherapists in the European Space Agency strategy for preparation and reconditioning of astronauts before and after long duration space flight by Lambert et al. 2017. So the physiotherapist and the sports scientists work together closely is to prepare the astronauts for space flight and then monitor exercise performance whilst the astronauts is on the International Space Station of reduction the astronauts when they return to the Earth by the Joel Godfrey Bertrand 2021 from the Spark Physio Research articles. He is one of my classmates who was very interested in doing the research based upon the space, like space physiotherapies, how to modify a few techniques, how to do an innovative technique. And the next is an astronaut strength and conditioning and rehabilitations. We're having a Bruce Neswitz at all NASA 2021, and none other than our Indians. So recently we sent the August 2023 Chandrayaan 3, the space rehabilitations, a new frontier for the physiotherapist. So they also undergone few rehabilitations. Since the Chandrayaan doesn't hold a human beings there, but we are having a physiotherapist in ISRO. Like, for example, in the future, we can send the human being. So the process will be still ongoing. So this is the few exercises, how we are going to demo. It's like in-flight treadmill trainings, how they are using the treadmills inside the flight in the spacecraft. For example, it is based upon the exercise prescriptions, the durations and the frequencies, the intensity. And then we go for the deadlift, like strength training exercises, and it also is having a basic some exercise prescriptions how to, but basically it was completely different from the land-based exercises. And then we have the shoulder and the squatting exercises, and also this having specialized exercise prescriptions based upon their intensities and frequencies and duration. Our future thoughts. Why I choose this webinar is basically like we already very interested in innovative things in the land-based and the water-based exercises. But when you compare to the space-based physiotherapy exercises, and then rehabilitation is very less. Since we have technology, the AI play a vital role. For example, now we are in the era of the artificial intelligence. We have to upgrade ourselves. Innovatively is how we are going to merge with the space business. So, for example, with the technologies developing in leaps and bounds, effective countermeasure strategies like optimal exercise training are required to minimize the space flight is potentially harmful deconditioning effect on the astronauts' physiological functions, performance, and overall health due to the microgravity. So this is a basic statement will make me to choose this how we are going to maintain a good healthy system for the human beings who are going for space travels. So recently also they are making a holiday trip to the space. How we are going to send the human being? So they are be very eager to send the human being to the space, but we are also very cautious about the human health and how we are going to maintain a good health when they are returning to the from the space. Our rehabilitation plans that it comprises of this is a pyramidal, so like how we are going to give our in-flight phase and pre-flight phase. We divide into three things. Pre-flight phase, we go for an pre-rehabilitations. In-flights, exercise will be given, and then again in-flights we can see the exercises, and then in the post-flights we are going for an post-rehabilitations, both involvement of the systems. For example, some people the effect will be high, some people the effect will be low. So, according to the March 2023, the NASA's they made researchers, including Rita Miller, a professor of biochemistry and molecular biology at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, have found that a protein modifier called as a small ubiquitin-like modifier, we call this as SUMO, can help cells adapt to microgravity in artificially stimulated circumstance. So, already they have been in the research, and we found that the how these proteins will help you suddenly if you're going from the gravity to the microgravity, how we can change the proteins inside the muscles in such a way that how to counteract the microgravity. So other proteins that had their interaction with the sumo affected by microgravity included those involved in energy and the protein productions. So this sumo is mainly they found to give the energy. So for example, when you're going to travel in the microgravity, how a normal protein is going to be depleted, but these sumos will increase your calorie, increase your energy to stay for a long time, and also it's maintain the cell shape, cell divisions, and the transport of protein in the cells. So she's a physiotherapist from the NASA. So she's working with the NASA for the last 15 years. Okay. So I dedicated this webinar to the MAHSA Physiotherapy. Since I think this is a unique one, I requested the MAHSA students, anyone students have to be like very good in space physiotherapist. Based upon this webinar, I think this is a seed. So you people have to take a look into it and you focus your path according to the space physiotherapist. Thank you all. If there is any questions, you can put it in the chat box.
Thank you, Mr. Rajan, for the insightful presentation. Dear viewers, if you have any question for Mr. Rajan, please leave a comment. Please fill in the survey form which can be found at the comment section by the end of the webinar. Each certificate will be awarded.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Patin, and thank you, Madam Tamendi, for giving me helping to complete my webinar in good way.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have come to the end of today's session. Thank you, Mr. Rajan, for joining us today and providing such insightful information. To our wonderful audience, thank for you for joining us at this webinar. We look forward to your comment and participation at future event hosted by MAHSA University. Please fill in a survey form which can be found in the comment section at the end of the webinar. Each certificate will be awarded. In the case of any further queries, you can contact us through MAHSA website or visit our social media. Thank you.
Thank you.